y'all, it's Keisha. Welcome to A Healer's Guide to Heroic Yor'sahj. This is an incredibly fun fight to work through, even though half the attempts are spent figuring out how to heal purple ooze without killing your entire raid, and the other half is attempting to kill extra ad waves during the next green phase. While this might be a pretty rough encounter at first, after a few days of learning the combinations, it simply becomes a matter of execution. The fight is incredibly fluid, there is no set pattern. Therefore, I will take you through each ooze and what its implications are, killing combinations that we use to down the boss, as well as some healer setups and tricks that we found to be useful during attempts. First off, Yor'sahj is a 6 heal fight. It has been 5 healed before, but we completed it with 6 with very little issue. The emphasis with healing should be damage reduction rather than healing throughput, since oozes like blue and purple severely limit the HPS that you can put out. Ideal composition would be similar to what we ran with. 2 Holy Pallies, 1 Holy Priest, 1 Disc Priest, 1 Resto Druid, and 1 Resto Shaman. Holy Pallies are essential to the fight, so be sure you have at least 1, if not 2. I'd almost go so far as to say that if a spare Ret Pally can go Holy just for this fight, that they might, depending on gear. I prefer Holy and Disc Priest as opposed to 2 Discs, simply because there are AoE intense phases where a powerful Hymn on low cooldown, as well as a Light Well, does wonders when paired with Druid Trank. Depending on your tanks, you might need 2 to 3 external cooldowns for them. They both get wrecked at the same time, stacks build, they'll swap, stack tank still gets hurt from stacks quite a bit. For this, we used a Guardian Spirit, then a Pain Suppression, and then a Spirit Link. It seems really wonky to use Spirit Link as a tanking cooldown, but we did find out on our first Heroic Hagara kill that it's actually, fairly useful in a pinch. It's still not ideal though. It is very important for your tanks to use their cooldowns well as communicate when they're using them and when they need externals from the healers, as this fight is all about the cooldowns. This means utilizing Ret Sacks as well as DK's Anti-Magic Zone. Our Pally tank even went so far as to use his bubble. Once the phase was down, we were killing the oozes, he would pop the bubble to make sure he didn't die from the stacks, which was really helpful from a healer point of view. Tanking 4 pieces should also be used, preferably when the raid needs them as well as the tank. This usually comes up pretty much every phase though, so it was never typically an issue on like, oh, they have to do it now. Alright, so there's the basic rundown for the fight. Those things are always the same and never change no matter the phase. I space my healers out so that they each have 1 group to be responsible for. This mainly is for the purple mechanic, but we adhere to it for most of the other phases as well. Except for the tank heals, of course. The person that gets group 2 will also watch the other 3 people in group 1, since they're both melee groups, and in a lot of the phases, melee don't get wailed on as much as the others. In every phase but purple, the other healers will need to help out the tank healers as much as possible, since the tanks will pretty much get smashed in the face. And now we have the oozes. Essentially, there are 6 colored oozes. Each one has a unique ability. It's the same as normal phase, except for you're going to get more oozes at a time. Green ooze basically means that you need to spread out 5 yards from people. We found that we had to assign range groups in order to stand on markers, in order to have range on everyone and not have healers running around dodging through people in order to get their group member, which caused a lot of issues early on. Red ooze, everyone must stand directly on top of each other. Target a rogue or other melee and just stand on them. The tighter the stack, the less damage red puts out, and therefore the less crying we healers have to do. The black ooze means that he will summon adds that the DPS has to AoE down. These adds will focus people who get hit pretty hard by them, so definitely focus on those as far as healing goes. Mages tend to be squishy, but also put a lot of initial aggro, so when they spawn, be ready to heal them up super fast. Right before most of the oozes get absorbed, I hit Shard or some other haste trinket and rejuve my group plus tanks or swiftmen. For the yellow phase, this basically makes everything happen twice. For black, this means that 2 ad groups will spawn. This was the most difficult phase since the second wave goes through to the new ooze spawn, and so DPS is caught between finishing the ads and making sure the ooze dies. Unfortunately, unlike other instances, healers will not be able to help very much with DPS since the ads hit so hard. The blue ooze will drain your mana once it hits. Once you are at 0% mana, you must use all the cooldowns you have available. This means Innervate, Tide, Hymns from all the priests, including Shadow, The biggest thing to be careful of is that you don't have all your healers channeling hymns during an intensive healing section, so it needs to be called out. Hymning, watch group 3, etc. However, you should only have one person assigned to be that backup healer for those situations, because if it's purple, you might get 5 stacks really fast and blow everyone up. And here's where it gets complicated with purple phase. Purple phase is what makes this fight so much fun. First off, you should just assume that everything healers do will give a stack of deep corruption. Everything. Once a person hits 5 stacks of deep corruption, they will deal damage to everyone around them, no matter what. This is why assigning healers to groups is very important. It lets us as healers control the amount of stacks that each person in our group gets. In my kill video, which is actually our second kill, I had to let my guys get to 4 stacks a few times since the damage was so intense. And the best thing you can do is get the most bang for your buck. If it is red or green phase and everyone takes damage at basically the same time, rejuvenation and hots are key. You should usually keep rejuvenation up anyway, however. For this fight, Nature Swiftness plus Healing Touch glyph is amazing. You should probably use it most of the other times, but especially for this fight. Sometimes you will have to regrowth for the speed, but you should try to use Healing Touch whenever possible. And this means understanding when damage goes out in green, or just constantly winding up a Healing Touch during black. And here's why Paladins are key in purple phase. They beacon the tank, they are assigned to heal, and heal a hunter or pet lock, and thus not giving any stacks directly to the tanks. It seems such simple mechanic, but it's very effective. And last, do not Trink or Hymn during purple, ever. AoE ground heals are also a no-no, unless they go out before the ooze is absorbed. Spirit Link or Healing Totem will not cost stacks. Assume everything else does. Health Stones and DPS abilities to heal will not cost stacks. There are many threads on the forums that list what does and doesn't cost stacks, but really, just assume everything does when you're going into the fight. DPS personal cooldowns for damage reduction are very important. The end. The order of oozes to kill is kinda complicated, but essentially you will always kill green when there's a red or black, and never kill a blue or purple. And always try to kill yellow. Always. Yellow is like the snake in the grass. No one really thinks about how dangerous it is until it pops up and bites you in the butt. The roughest combination will be red, black, purple, since there's lots of continuous damage from red, as well as add damage from the black. Please make sure that you save as many raid cooldowns as possible, tanking 4 pieces, spirit links, barrier, etc. Use your hymns during red or black phases preferably, but without purple, of course. We also had a very rough time with yellow-black combinations, since the 2 add spawns really hurt healer mana, and it's worse if you just had a blue ooze. One last thing to note. There will be some downtime during the fight when DPS are killing an ooze and tanks don't get hit. Use this time to DPS either the ooze, the mana void, or the boss. Every little bit counts in a boss with a hardened rage. Especially if there is already a mana void up, and you have a blue ooze. You know you will get all that mana back, so spend it on some damage on the boss. DPS should keep the void dotted, but sometimes I found it necessary to DPS it. Be sure to watch my kill video. You'll understand more when you see me throwing wraths and moonfires. I hope this guide helps. It's definitely a long one, and good luck to you on attempts of heroic Yor'sahj. This video is part of the Way movement, a career path for YouTubers. To find out more, visit tgn.tv.